Okay, that was not a good start of the video. Right now it's 8 p.m. I'm right in front of the gym. I'm about to go and record some exercises I need to add to the program. You know how we do it, always upgrading it. And as I pulled up a Q&A on my Instagram story, it was a while ago actually, but today I really started to think about it, and that is, one of the guys has asked me, is there a 90 to 10 approach with more things than just nutrition, right? Meaning work-life balance, basically. You know, can you make progress while still enjoying life, while still having freedom? And let's take nutrition out of the picture. Like, party, can you still party, drink, go like hang around with your friends and shit like that, while still losing fat, while still scaling your business, while still, you know, prioritizing your personal development and developing as an individual meanwhile, right? And my answer was like, yes, of course. But there's one important thing with which I want to kick things off in this video, and that is, you have to understand, because it's the mistake I've been making for the longest time, and I never sat down and thought about this, so it's important that you listen to this, right? There is a difference between vices and habits that are holding you back, that are making you feel like shit, that are making you feel like you're squandering your potential. Even if you're locked in 90% of the time, right? You're making progress, you're moving the needle ahead, like you're becoming the individual you want to become, and you're doing all of those things correctly, but 10% of the time you still watch porn, for example, and it bothers you. It bothers you, right? You feel like shit afterwards. It is still a vice to you. You still can't say no to your friends when they are inviting you to go out, to get rid of your your environment that you know deep down is holding you back. Those things are bothering you. There's a difference between those things and the things that you can use as a springboard for success. For example, if partying enables you to be better at your business, if smoking weed enables you to be better with your fitness, take a step back a little bit in order to take 3 steps forward, release that stress, release those tensions, right? Because yes, as a man, I agree that you should be stress tolerant for sure, like, and I mean highly stress tolerant, but everybody has their own limits. If it helps you not burn out, not lose your fucking mind, then yeah, sure, do it. But you have to understand the difference between those two things, because I was always, when I did devices, when I did the bad habits 10% of the time, even though I was locked in 90% of the time, I felt like shit afterwards, but I immediately used them as an excuse that, oh, everybody is doing those things. I just need to get my mind off things, I just need to take a step back in order to take 3 steps forward. And 1 week went by, 2 weeks went by, 4 weeks went by, and I didn't take no steps forward. I didn't take no steps forwards. I was still depreciating. I was still at the exact same spot. So you have to understand the difference between those two things, between vices and bad habits, and things that are just things that you can just use as a springboard to become the better version of yourself, to make progress 2-3 times faster. Especially devices and bad habits need to be replaced. If you're gonna spend your time, banging your head against the wall with trying to get rid of them and not replace them, they will never be truly gone. And trust me, that's coming from someone who has been there. I haven't watched porn for 3 years straight, right? I was locked in with everything, cut it out, women. I cut it out, all of that bullshit when it comes down to porn, women, jerking off, all of that BS. I made progress meanwhile, but at the end of the day, I didn't replace it with none of the things. I didn't replace that time with none of the productive things. I was just scrolling more, for example. I was just staying up late, right? I was staying up late more. and shit like that. I replaced that bad habit with another bad habit again, which, I mean, I didn't replace it at all. I didn't replace it with any of the productive habits. So that way, and also, I didn't replace it with any of the productive habits, and I didn't look at my behavior from a third person perspective, to the point where I would be like, all right, why did this happen? What were my thought processes before that? Why is this happening? When is this happening? How can I fix all of those things? I was just like, nah, I'll quit. I won't deal with this, and that's it. And it worked for 3 years. Don't get me wrong. But then after 2 years, boom, instantly, 1 week after school, I got, stress went down a little bit, boom, I watched porn and got into that habit again and again and again and again. And it was a problem 1 year for me. And it's been 1.5 years since that, right? So, did a full 180 with this, and I know what's it like. And that made me realize that I need to take different approach with things, right? So that way, I started to look at it from a third person perspective, because I also, really didn't see how I can use it as a springboard for daily success. So that way, I had to take different approach with it to get rid of it. And one of the first things I've done, I've journaled it down. I've looked at it from a third person perspective, because solving that vice was an ocean wide, but actually just 2 centimeters deep. I was like, all right, it's not that big of a deal. My grandma can do this. I just had to shine a little bit of light on the thing that was making me do this habit again and again and again consistently. When it came down to controlling my emotions and being better with my emotions, I didn't deal with them, I just forgot about them. I was just like, I'll deal with that later, and that kept compounding and compounding and compounding until one day it just exploded. Because looking back now, it was because of the restrictiveness which has been compounding through that time. The thing that I have found works best for me is exactly the 9 to 10 approach with more things than just nutrition. The 9 to 10 approach with social life. The 9 to 10 approach business wise as well. 9 to 10 approach with fitness. 9 to 10 approach with nutrition. With all of those things. And I've been able to use that 10% in my favor. I've been able to use that 10% as a springboard to accomplish even more things, to be even more successful. Although I train a lot like a fucking animal, although I'm dialed in, like you see me wake up at 6 a.m., you see me do all of those things, I still, last year I jumped out of an airplane, dude. All right. I still go out with my teammates, especially because those are the guys I hang around with the most. I still have social life. I still go out. But the thing I don't do is, for example, I don't drink. I don't go out and party. No, I go out and, go for a couple of drinks, and it is not alcohol for me. I can still have fun without drinking alcohol. Yes, it is possible. Of course, like there's limits. Okay, you can control yourself with how much you drink, but it doesn't taste good for me at all. Like I don't see the point of it. The same goes with partying. People sweating, standing there, listening to loud music, screaming next to each other and drinking alcohol. But I still go out, I eat my favorite food. But I still discipline myself with knowing that I need to wake up at 6 a.m. the day after. So that way, when I wake up at 6 a.m., I remind myself about the standards that I do have, about the goals that I do have, about the priorities that I do have. That way, I get back in that mode. Because so many people, and you guys as well, you're watching this, you're locked in for 5 days in a week. And then during the weekend, you fall off. You neglect your standards. You start binge eating again. You forget about your goals a little bit. And you're like, it's okay, I'll get back on track on Monday. It's just 2 days, 2 compared to 5, I will still I'll still make progress. I will still move the needle ahead. I'm just using it to release that stress, to release those tensions. I will get back on track. I will. When did that happen? How many times did you actually complete that day the way you could have completed it? Because you just made things unsustainable for yourself. You went from one extreme to another, right? And that's what 6 a.m. enables me to do. It's to not do that on a weekly basis, but on a daily basis, do that, right? The next day, boom, immediately. Goals, journal, push-ups, I'm set, I'm ready to go. I remind myself about the goals that I do have, about the priorities that I do have, and I'm ready to get back on track, right? And still do the work that I need to do, which I'm required to do in order to become the person I really want to become in my own life. There will be times when you need to do that input in order to get that goal, no matter how you feel, no matter what the fuck is going on in your life. There will be times when you need to do those things, and it will suck. You have to push yourself to failure, not physically, mentally as well. You have to do things you have never done before in order to grow. You will have to do those things, and it will suck, right? Everybody's going to do the same thing. Everybody who has achieved something worthy, everybody who has achieved the results you want to achieve has went through the exact same path. But that doesn't mean you still can't enjoy those 90%. I enjoy going to the gym. I enjoy going to handball practices. Although sometimes still, coaches scream at me, right? Although at handball, it's like fucking wrestling for 1.5 hours. Although you're sweaty, you feel like shit, your legs are sore, you're tired, you don't feel like doing anything, but it's like 45 minutes left to complete the training session. That's the thing I'll be talking about, it sucks. But at the end of the day, I still enjoy doing those things to a certain level. And the same goes for the nutrition. I don't track my calories or macros 98% of the time. All right, 1-2 weeks, I track them. I track proteins, carbs, fats, and calories to see if I still got it, to see if I, have the green light. And if I still got it, boom, if my physique is progressing, meanwhile, if I'm seeing changes with my strength training performance, if my recovery is still where it needs to be, then I'm like, bet, all right, I don't have to do those things. If I look how I want to look, I still have the abs. If I'm still below 10% body fat, which I want to be year round, I'm like, all right, bet. And I don't do it because I don't want to be like constantly, oh, how many of those? No, because at the end of the day, I couple this, I'm only able to do this because all of these systems that I have established in my own life support that. For example, 6 a.m. wake up time, instantly reminding myself about the goals that I do have, priorities that I do have, and I do this on a daily basis. And if you couple that with the fact that us humans need to be reminded more than we need to be taught, and I remind myself about this on a daily basis, I'm able to build that muscle in my own mind to the point where every single time when the opportunity for me to binge eat comes, is handed to me, I'm like, nah, fuck it. Because, I've been building that muscle so many fucking times. And plus, I just want to enjoy my life sometimes, right? And not be like, oh, this was, this many calories, and enjoy my life in terms of eating the foods that I love. I still love eating Greek yogurt with raspberries, with honey on top of it, with almonds, with oats, with a whole bunch of fruit. I enjoy eating those foods as much as I enjoy eating pizzas. I mean, today I had pizza for lunch. I don't feel guilty. I don't feel embarrassed. I don't feel like shit, right? I didn't have that brain fog because I also use that 10% of the time in my favor. I use it as a springboard. Why? Because I went swimming afterwards. I used all of those carbs for energy, I used all of those carbs so that way my body could use that glucose for energy to really fuel itself, so that way I could do a proper swimming session. That way, afterwards, I didn't have that brain fog. I didn't have that feeling of laziness or just laying down and stuff like that. Usually, what I like to do, because life gets dynamic, right? If I eat meals like this, if I eat foods like this, which are, processed foods, and most of the times processed foods like this, pizzas, yes, depends on which pizza. If you make it at home, it's different, from the pizza at a restaurant and stuff like that. But if I eat, brownies, or if I eat pancakes in different restaurants, if I'm on vacation and shit like that, what I like to do is to just go for a 15-minute walk, 20-minute walk afterwards. And still, I don't eat those foods the whole day. Most of my day looks like I eat clean. I just use them as a cherry on top when it comes down to nutrition. And it enables me to, you know, not burn out, not lose my fucking mind, you know, not be like, oh, I don't like, I'm not allowed to eat this, but deep down, like I would like to eat it, you know, stuff like that. Nah, like I want to do all of those things. It enables me to be consistent for a long period amount of time. And the same goes for hanging around with my teammates. Last week, exactly 1 week ago, we won bronze medal at the Europe Championship. I didn't want to be like, no, I'm gonna stay at home and do the work and stuff like that. No, I was like, all right, you know, I can go out with my teammates. I've been productive. We had a good time. I was out till 3:30 a.m. Went to bed at 4:30. Woke up at 8. Didn't wake up at 6 because I still wanted to function throughout my day. Because I wanted to do the work. I wanted to still have the focus to do the work throughout that time. If I was to do bullshit, then I would be like, nah. You wake up at 6 a.m. no matter fucking what. But that way, I woke up at 8 a.m. I was like, all right. I went to bed, you know, being conscious about it. Being conscious about, all right, you can do this. But in return, you have to put the work in. You have to be focused. You have to move the needle ahead. That way, I did. The next day, woke up at 6 a.m. again. And got back on track. And didn't fall off, you know. And I made the process long-term sustainable for myself. So yes, at the end of the day, 90-10 approach works with more things than just nutrition. But you still gotta be cautious that you use that 10% in your favor as a springboard to become even better version of yourself. To not spin in circles and get back on that old track on a subconscious level. And you do that until that subconscious becomes conscious, and then you're like, fuck, I'm back at it again. I know that this is something my younger self, myself 4 years ago, would love to hear, would have helped him really well. So I hope it helped you guys as well. I'm pretty sure, I'm confident that it worked, that it helped a lot of you guys watching this video. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.